Everyone, welcome to the Eureka Conservative Charlie Kirk Bible Read and Bob Rant from Monday afternoon from beautiful southeast Melbourne. And I'm not talking about the politics, I'm not talking about the events that go on in our streets. I am talking, once again, about that beautiful weather over our bay. Just look at that. It's actually a really nice day. Not too hot, not too cold. A few clouds in the sky, but nice. A bit foggy on the horizon. You can usually see the peninsula from here. That's our view from the bay and our view over the Dandenong Ranges through those dirty, filthy windows that I haven't washed yet. And, it is a very good day in Melbourne. So welcome. And I've forgotten something. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to run downstairs with my dog, so bear with me for 1 second. I forgot something very, very important. I'll be back in 2 ticks. But you'll see me and my co-star, JJ. We're back in just 2 ticks. Hold on. Come on. And here we are back again. Forgot the most important thing. And up there. What a beautiful flag that is. Came from downstairs yesterday. So, how can you have a Eureka Conservative podcast without the Aussie flag in the background? So, had to get that up here. So, welcome again to the Charlie Kirk Bible Read and the Bob Rant. Out of breath now. So let's get on with the Bible read first. Won't take long today. It's a very short one. And then we can have our rant. Okay. Jesus enters Jerusalem. Mark 11, 7 through 11. People expected a king to ride into Jerusalem on a war horse. By deliberately choosing a colt, Jesus showed that his kingdom was different. They brought the colt to Jesus, threw their cloaks over the animal, and Jesus got on. Many people spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches in the fields and spread them on the road. The people who were in front and those who followed behind began to shout, "Praise God! God bless him who comes in the name of the Lord. God bless the coming kingdom of King David, our Father. Praise God." Jesus entered Jerusalem, went into the temple, and looked around at everything. But since it was already late in the day, he went out to Bethany with the 12 disciples. And that's it. Leading up to probably some of the most momentous events in human history. That passage. And if you don't know why, stick with us. We're quickly approaching Easter. It'll all become rather obvious. So I'm rubbing the nose. I've still got these sniffles from this bloody cold I had last week, which is doing my head in. I'm over it pretty much, but I think the most infuriating part is when you've got the cold with a big honker like mine. It's not good. You get the sniffles and you just got to keep sneezing and whatever. It's always in your nose. Horrible, but it's better than what it was last week. And here comes my co-star again, JJ. He's up and down. He's a bit anxious at the moment. He's got to settle in on his couch. There he goes. World's best behaved dog. Nearly did my head in this morning. And yesterday, he's been in a funny old mood. I need to take him out for his a few more WALKs, but he's nearly 5. Acts like he's 2. So anyway, that is what it is. So rant time. Yesterday it was all about South Australian election. Today's got a bit of a different, not a different, I should say, a similar theme. I've been getting all the ALP trolls in my feed for the last 2 days. It's been quite fun. It must mean I'm over the target because otherwise I wouldn't bother you. But they always seem to bother you when you're making some valid points. That's my experience with them. They don't always come at you, but when they do come at you, you've hit a bit too close to the nerve. And it's not me who's hit a bit too close to the nerve, it's One Nation. And they're all coming out and they're bagging One Nation. Oh, big orange wave. They only won no seats initially, but then they won the first seat. Oh, you've only got one seat. How much does the ALP have? Yeah, as it turns out, the One Nation is probably going to win probably 4 to 5 lower house seats, which is amazing. They didn't even used to poll in South Australia at all. If you go through all the seats where they've ended up second in nearly every seat, they've gone from 0 to 20% or 30% or whatever it is. They didn't run in many seats last time. They've run in every seat this time. And look, forget the count of seats. They're the legitimate opposition. All right, you've got the ALP that's won the most votes, but then One Nation's won the next most votes, and it's not even close. The Liberals will probably end up with marginally more seats, but all that's immaterial. The only reason the Liberals are getting more seats is because of this ridiculous preferential system, which we will talk about in a future episode. But I've had arguments with, as you always do after every election, all the idiots, and sadly most of these idiots are on the centre-right, who just love the preferential system. Love it. Not because it's a good thing for Australia, because they're political nerds and they like to take it apart and put it back together and argue about the benefits of this and the benefits of that and why this is superior and how it gives more votes. You know, the one question they will never ask, if it's so good, why do 95% of Australians not understand it? How can you have a democracy where people going into the voting booth don't understand the voting system they're participating in? They just don't understand it. Even the ones who say they understand it don't understand it. And as soon as you put the next question to them, just demonstrates it how much they don't understand it. I've done this 3 times. I don't like getting in the debates with them anymore because seriously, you'll spend all day. They'll go down these rabbit holes and give you stats and Mick Emanis. I'll show it to you in a minute. He just defeated himself in his own argument. Excuse me. I might have to sneeze a few times in this. So here's the biggest flaw of the preferential system. In any democracy, the core value of that democracy is everyone gets a vote. One vote, one person. And we all have our say through that vote in who we think should be the candidate that represents us in our electorate in whatever parliament it is, state or federal. But the thing is, in Australia, not everyone gets one vote. All right, some get 2 votes. Some get 3 votes. Some get 4 votes, especially in close seats. In extremely close seats, it might be 5. Because in any round, if you've got 10 candidates, which is getting more common now with the amount of minor parties we've got. And by the way, the biggest argument I get back is, well, the minor parties survive. Well, maybe the minor parties can't stand on their own 2 feet and actually do what One Nation is doing right now and being a threat to government. Maybe they shouldn't survive. If all they're aiming for is to get some odd member, and this is going to really piss off my libertarian friends, if all they're going to do is spend 25 years getting the odd member into an upper house, really they're helping us that much? Or in the case of Jared Rennick, he's got a political party that helps him bitch about everything all the time. You know, why should we be facilitating that? Yet those votes go to those parties and they end up going, getting lost in the system, whatever. So it doesn't help the centre-right. All right? Now, in a field of 10 candidates, let's say there's 10, and you vote for the candidate that comes 10th, well, you're out. That's it. You're out of the vote. But then the next lot they'll have to go to the second preferences. So the ones who've got their candidates still in, their vote will get counted again. So all of a sudden you've got all these people that now have 2 votes, but then the losing one out of that gets knocked out of the vote. And then they'll go to the third preferences. So everyone with their third preferences still in the count, they're getting their vote counted 3 times. And on it goes. So how is it fair to have a democratic system where some people might get more bites at the cherry than others? One person, one vote, or is it some people with 1 vote, some people with 2, some people with 3, and the very lucky get 4 or 5? That's why this preferential system sucks. And the ones who have owned it, set it up, understand it, theorised it, understand it back to front, is the left. And McManus, I'll show you this in a minute. I'll get it up. He showed this. He tried to argue, and I've had a few arguments lately with Mick. I've usually got on, we always butt heads, but he's lost me a little bit lately, if I'm being right, because I'll tell you why too. What am I going? X. So he was arguing that it helps the thing, and he asked Grok, well, does it help the minor parties get a cover? Yes, it does. But then on the same time, he asked Grok, because the guy came back, well, how does the ALP win with only 33% of the vote? Great question. So he asks Grok. And Grok comes back and makes the argument I've been making for years, because the discipline of both the ALP and Green voters is 10 times what it is of the centre-right. And they will always vote for each other. And the ALP keeps getting along the line because their voters will always vote ALP, and the Green voters will always vote ALP second, and they've got an enormous advantage over everyone else. Because if their first and second preferences always get counted, and the ones who vote for the 10th person in that voting sheet, or the ones voting for the 9th or the 8th, they get knocked out early. So the more people that get knocked out in those early rounds, the more empowered the left vote becomes. Most people don't understand this system. Topher Field certainly doesn't. He'll put out all his stupid marble videos, and then he'll proclaim, put the majors last. Hell with that theory. The ALP and the Greens will never, ever, ever put the ALP or Greens last. Only one group of major parties will put their party last, and that is the Liberals and centre-right. I'm not too sure One Nation will ever either. So you're going to have 3 parties in there. Thank God for that. So that's why ALP is getting in, because you've still got a core block of around 20% of Liberal voters, LNP voters, that will vote LNP, but there'll still be a lot of them of this stupidity of putting Labor last, thinking they're doing a great service. No, you're not. You're not. Because a lot of Liberal voters will do that. And some disenfranchised Liberal voters, especially if you're a Libertarian or a Jared running, they'll get caught up in this bullshit of putting both majors last. And now that majors is going to have to include One Nation. And they just leave the playing field. They leave the battlefield. And they leave it all for the ALP and the Greens to mob it. That's why they're getting in. And I've been arguing this for 7 years. It is why the ALP keep getting in on a low first preference vote. And not just getting in, smashing it. Everyone says they have these massive majorities. In seat numbers, yes, they do. In voting numbers, no, they don't. This is not like the majority that Malcolm Fraser got back in the 70s against Gough Whitlam twice in a row. It's not like the majority that John Howard won against Paul Keating. They're not those sweeping majorities where you've got a massive amount of the vote and the seats of in the parliament. They're not those massive tidal waves. The ALP government is in with a first preference vote of well below 40%. In many elections in the 70s and 80s, they would have been wiped out. Doesn't happen anymore because everyone's going off left, right and centre, splintered the centre right. They've done what they've done. The left have not splintered. The right has splintered. And until there's some unity on the right, we're going to keep getting ALP governments. And that is going to be the case, whether you vote One Nation or Liberals. You've got to come to terms with that. Someone said the other day, Marco, shout out to Marco. He makes a lot of sensible posts. You've got to play the game. You can't play the game. The game's rigged. You know, you can't play the same game the way that the ALP and Greens play it. They play it better than us. You can't play the game. You have to smash the game. We're not going to play the game by being similar to the ALP unless you want to be a corrupt, cheating individual with zero integrity. If you want to be that, then go for it. But I don't think Pauline Hanson is that sort of person. So, play the game for as much as what you like. It just won't happen. Let me see if I can find this thing thing for us. Hold on, guys. Just trying to find this thing and make a moment, because it just emphasizes. Mick sees himself as a bit of an expert on the preferential voting system, but today he just proved he's not. Look at this. I've got to share this. I filled up today at the petrol station, and I listened to Chris Bowen and Elbow, and so they're saying there's no crisis. We've got plenty of petrol, and it's a supply thing and all this sort of rubbish. Here's my petrol invoice, receipt, sorry. I sadly have a four-wheel drive. A Toyota, runs on diesel. It has dual tanks, so it takes about 150, 160 litres. That's what it cost me to fill up my tanks today. $453. I already had some petrol in it. But I wanted to fill up my tanks, especially because it's diesel. I'm very concerned that they're going to go to rationing. And running my own business, I just can't afford to be light on petrol. So I've just, what's the word? Can't think of it. I've just made sure that if the rationing comes in, I'm going to be okay, and I can keep topping up on my fuel as it goes. But that's what it cost me today, $453 for a tank. Actually, I think it was for 142 litres. I'll show you in a tick if I can find it again. I'm out of it. My goodness. This is why one day when you guys give me enough money on my buy me a coffee, I'll get a producer in it. Yeah, not too sure. That'll be too long. That was 157 litres. And as you can see, I wasn't very happy. So, and here's another point. Look at all this. These orange bits, these are basins of oil, but because of all the environmentalists and the Greens, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sitting under our feet. This would make us oil and energy independent, but we can't go there because, land rights in Greens, all the red tape, all that bullshit just doesn't make it feasible. All the bastards that are all going on about, the genocide in Gaza. You ever hear them talking about these young ones? This is about the 10th one of those seen. These are young Iranians because they dared protest about to be executed. This young girl's 14 years of age. Do you ever hear Tucker Carlson talking about that? Do you ever hear Candace Owens talking about that? Do you ever hear that Carrie blonde bitch Barbie doll one talking about that? The one who's been a Catholic for 5 minutes. No, they don't. Where am I? Let's try replies. I'm going to sneeze again here in a minute. I'm so sorry, guys. It's just a sniffles time. So that's it. Mick, like I said, I've had an interesting time with Mick over the years. I think he'll admit that too. We don't agree on an awful lot. And he's a funny guy, Mick. He's one of these Australian first ones. I thought he would be celebrating One Nation, but he wants to tear him down. They've gone from a standing start of 0. They've run virtually second in every seat in South Australia. From 0, they're recording 20 to 30% of the vote in every seat. And Mick doesn't think that's a wave because they haven't won enough seats. Mick is a guy that's been banging on about the uni party and how we've got to get back to our values and all that. But he only wants a certain group to get up. He doesn't like One Nation because Pauline Hanson supports Israel, is my guess. So, he's a strange man, Mick. He wants us to get back to a national first approach, which is what his One Nation is pushing forward. He wants us to get back to our values, wants us to get back to our heritage, which again is pretty much what One Nation is pushing forward, but he's not acknowledging their rise. So what's the game, Mick? Come on to my podcast anytime you're welcome. You've been invited several times and haven't done it. So he's gone here. Kobe Thatcher, good girl. I like a lot of what she posts. Preferential voting is a terrible system. 1,000%. So Mick goes, who wants to tell us? He's obviously one of these people that thinks preferential is great. But the funny thing is what happened then. Preferential voting is the reason most minor parties have won their seats in lower house and upper house across Australia. Who gives a shit, Mick? One, you're knocking One Nation over the weekend, yet they've won upper house and lower house in Australia. They're not a minor party anymore. But if you get a minor party in and they only get one or two senators, they can't do anything. We've got One Nation in that's getting 20 to 30% of the vote and I would say are already in a major party status if everyone got on board. But you're more worried about getting one or two minor party senators in. I couldn't give a shit. Politicians, sorry, not parties, in the parliament where they achieve absolutely nothing except get paid an awful lot of money to bitch for an awful long time. Unless we can change government, it doesn't matter. And here, Mick, just minutes later, here is it. We'll go into this a bit. Oh, God, how do I get into here? No, that's not it. God, sometimes I'm hopeless with this X algorithms. Stay with me, everyone. Too many, you're giving me a CIR. Too many. There's no only traders. First past the post massively benefits the major parties. Well, maybe it's time the miners got a bit more ambitious. Like One Nation. One Nation are now getting off the minor party status and they're actually challenging the major parties. Sitting there with minor parties, all you do is you're just leaving the playing field for the major parties. I just got to find this one where I replied. It's not in there. I'll keep going. There's one here later on. Oh, here we go. So if you go through this, someone had a crack at Mick, which is fine. Everyone has a crack at me. And Mick's I hope he's thick-skinned enough. Trapper Dave, she's right. Mick Amanis, no, she's not. Young Mick, the expert on politics, which is a bit of a laugh. Preferences are the exact reasons why most time in history, minor parties have won seats in Australia Parliament, which Grok verifies. And Trapper Dave comes back, fuck Grok, how's Mr. 34% getting? Good bloody question, Dave. So, Mick is banging on about the minor parties. He asks Grok, and this is where it gets quite funny, about, Grok, please explain how Anthony Albanese, leader of the Australian Labor Party, won his last election with only 34% of the vote. He should have put in the election before as well. Preferences, correct. Which other organisation passed their preference to Labor? Primarily the Greens, yes. Well, guess what? Grok, yes, in the 2025 federal election, Albanese's Labor won with 34.56% of the primary vote, but secured 94 of 150 seats, 94 of 150 via Australia's preferential instant runoff voting system. In most seats, no candidate hits 50% on the first preferences. So lower candidates are eliminated and their votes redistributed until one wins a minority. That's what I'm saying. Some people get more than one vote. They have their vote regurgitated several times. Primarily, the Greens, 88% of their preferences flowed to Labor, plus many independents and minor parties in key electorates. This delivered Labor a national 55.222 party preferred result. So while Mick's banging on about some minor parties getting seats, he's ignoring at the same time that the preferential system is stacked in favour of the left. Grok just told him exactly what I've been arguing, I reckon, for 8 years. That's exactly what I've been arguing against the Topher Fields of the world. Put the majors last. Good, put the majors last. And keep getting ALP government. Because the ALP will not put themselves last. Voters will not do it. The Greens will not put themselves last. And between those two, there's enough preferentials between the two of them to get the majority of MPs in Parliament. And these silly bastards don't understand that. And here they are all bagging Pauline Hanson, the one party. And I'm not saying everything's great about One Nation. Ideally, I prefer a more Menzies-style sort of party, if I'm being honest. But you take the best of what you've got. It's the first Conservative party we've had that's actually representing conservative values. And these bastards are going on, they've only won 20, 30%, but it hasn't worked out to be seats. No, but to put a platform in 4 years' time where it could become seats. For them to expect them to go from a standing start with, like last election, they fielded not even barely half of the seats had one nation candidates. I don't think they made that. And they barely registered a vote. Now they're in every seat and they're running second. That's massive. Forget whether they won seats or not. That'll come. And that's in South Australia. South Australia is a filthy ALP state. There's ALP and driven by ALP governments and bureaucrats, and even they couldn't even get their voting system up where it gets the results in overnight, let it go on the same night. You know, they're still counting the bloody things. Interesting, there's a Queensland publication saying they're now suspecting there could be fraud going on. Would not surprise me. Who knows? I don't. But I do know the basics, and the basics are this. The preferential voting system favours the big parties on the left. And yeah, it might get up the odd minor party. Boo, whoopee, bloody do. Who cares? What are they going to do? They're surrounded by a red wave of ALP and a green wave of senators, and now it's here. We've got all the lunatics running the asylum, and Mick and his kind are celebrating. Oh my God, we have got some minor parties in there. Hip, hip, hooray! And the ALP just keep putting through the H-Bench laws and their stupidity of parliaments and all that. They're laughing all the way to the bank. And when you finally have a political party that comes in that could challenge the system, and this is what I've been waiting for a long time, that could take over from the Liberal Party, they poo-poo it. Got a comment here. Oh, here we go. A few comments. Get it. You are a cooker. So it's the ALP fault. Yeah, bloody oath it is. Speaking of lunatics, I'm like, yeah, good on you, Gudo. What a stupid name, Gudo. If you go to my tweets, actually, buddy, no, I don't just blame the ALP politicians. I blame the Greens politicians. I blame the ALP politicians. I blame all the stupid Liberal moderates that have gone ahead and been Labor light for, I don't know, well over a decade, who played this green game, this renewables game. I blame all those bastards. So they're across the political spectrum. Yes. I blame any person who's stupid enough like you, Guido, to vote for them. And this has been building since 1979, so I don't know how old you are, Guido. But in 1979, Bob Hawke kowtowed to the Greens to get the Franklin Lamb stopped. And from there on in, the Greens have just run roughshod over both ALP and LNP politicians. So, Guido, go study your bloody history and figure out who it is. It's bastards like you that vote for them, that give them the power to stop all the energy development in this country. We have got oil under our feet, as I've just showed you, that we could be using. We should be energy independent. We should be oil independent. But it's dickheads like you that keep voting for these morons that sit on our parliament benches, whether they're the Liberals, Labor or Greens, that have created this problem. So you're an idiot. And as part of my French, everyone, but as I said in my tweet, I try not to be as coarse here on the podcast as what I am with my tweets, but it's fuckwits like Guido that are just as much part of the problem because they don't have a brain to figure these sorts of things out. Does Guido actually think we shouldn't be energy independent? Of course we should. You know, there's always going to be wars in the Middle East. There's always going to be wars in Europe. There's always going to be wars in North America, Africa, South, all these international things. This is why you can be Australian first, but you can't be Australian only. We're going to have international things that impact us. So to fireproof us from those international impacts, Guido, we should be making the most of our resources. All right? Because you're a fuckwit, mate. So good comment. Oh, I'm the grandson of immigrants and I know more about the country's history. Mate, you don't put history in there twice. So seriously, I'm a grandson of immigrants. Really? That doesn't stop you being a fuckwit. All right? I'm a grandson of immigrants and know more about this country's history. You can't even say history once than you. You need a Bex and lay down. Yeah, good on you, buddy. I'm fine. Guido, where are you from, Guido? Come on, let's find out how much history you do know. Come on, buddy, get on here. No, I don't think so. So anyway, let's ignore Guido because I'll be just wasting my time. See, I told you I'm getting ALP trolls. They're coming out from everywhere. But see, the funny thing is, I don't like the ALP, don't like the LNP, don't like the Greens, don't like the Teals, don't like most members of our parliament. There's a few good ones. I have actually as big as arguments with people on the right as I do the left, maybe more so. I just try and talk as much common sense and the truth as I possibly can. See, unlike Guido, I don't need my thoughts fed into me like a robot and giving me the talking points. I don't need to be doing talking points. I've only got one concern, and that's for Australians and my fellow citizens. Couldn't give a fuck about the politics. I'll say what I think it is. And Australia, unless you're a fucking absolute moron like Guido here, should be energy independent. Any fucking idiot knows that, except our politicians in Guido. I'm from West Australia. Well, I don't want to tell you about my experience in West Australia, mate, but during COVID, but you didn't put yourselves in a very good light with the rest of the other country, I tell you. But good luck with that. So Guido's from West Australia in a state that derives a whole bunch of its economy, resources, taxes, everything from the energy companies. And he's trying to say, oh my God, and he supports the mob that are against the energy companies that make his state so rich and powerful. Guido, you're a fucking idiot. Mate, you keep commenting. This is fun. Who supported the entire country? Mate, not you and your ALP dickheads. Yeah, West Australia did do a good job. But was it the Labor Party out in the minefields bringing out that iron ore and exporting it? Or was that actually private companies? Yeah, mate, it wasn't you or your ALP flogs. You just happened to be lucky enough to be in government at that time. So, no, you didn't support it. When you closed the borders and people who had flown 6 hours to get to your state were denied entry out of the airport because in midair, some dickhead closed the borders, your premier, so they couldn't get to where they were going to go. No, that made you guys a bunch of wankers. I was on that flight. We're all treated more like terrorists than fellow Australians. So don't fucking give me this shit about how you supported the country. You're just lucky enough to sit on a fucking barren wasteland of rock that underneath it has amazing resources. And you ALP fuckwits want to compromise that. We supported the entire country during COVID, you fuckwit. No, you didn't. You didn't have to go through what we did in Melbourne. Anyway, enough of Guido. We'll keep going. So getting back to our preferential system, which was a total fucking joke, and this is where, I'll show Guido, the LNP is so dumb. The LNP, all they want to do is attack One Nation. Go for it, LNP. You'll be gone after the next election if you do it. You don't need to attack One Nation. You need to go and talk to them. You need to go and have meetings with them. You need to go and find out where your policy platforms align and how you can resolve whatever differences. You need to start working together. Do you need an alliance? I'd say yes, but you don't have to have one. But what you need is an understanding where your preference strategy counters the preference strategy of the Greens and the ALP. And until you do that, you can't win in this system. It's that simple. ALP and the Guido fuckwits like this one will keep winning and keep destroying this country. That's all they're committed to. They're just so fucking dumb. LNP, you've got to decide whether the ALP stay in government for one more term or whether you go the way of the dodo politically and One Nation will just keep taking your voters and ultimately they'll get their vote up to 40, 50% because they'll keep taking your votes. And at that point, they won't need you. So right now, they need you. And right now would be a sensible time to be talking to them if you want to survive going forward. You didn't survive in South Australia, which was hardcore ALP. This Victorian vote's going to be interesting because no one knows who the fuck the One Nation people are here. But they just want to vote for someone different. If One Nation get 20 to 30% of the vote here or more, your days are numbered because everyone knows who they are federally. So good luck with all that. But if you think you're just going to take a teal approach and pander to the likes of Guido and his fucking idiots and be Labor light, you keep doing that. One way or the other, we'll get to a tipping point, where the right party, whether that's One Nation or whether that's a coalition or whatever, will get ahead. But with you guys trying to attack them and dilute their vote and get all this thing away from, instead of working with them, you have to be ranked as one of the dumbest political parties I've ever seen, even dumber than Guido's ALP mob. So, I'm not screaming, Guido. Mate, I got a cold, number one. Number two, if I scream and go, I guarantee you'd know it. What's Guido got to say about Melbourne? Come on. Melbourne's a Labor state, remember, Guido. You keep screaming to your 18 people you cook up. Yeah, come back in about 4 hours. I'm not here for the clicks, mate. I'm here to get things off my chest and annoy people like you. We supported the entire country. Yeah, what's he got to say about an ALP state? Melbourne, city full of slow learners. Couldn't stay inside. I agree. We've been voting ALP for 12 years. Yeah, one we agree, Guido. Absolutely right. A lot of fuckwits like you should come over here. But I love the state. I love this city. Been here 40 years. It used to be blue, royal blue Liberal, but the Liberals are all Labor fucking light. So they're trying to imitate you, Guido, so they'll never fucking win. But we'll get there. And I'm waiting for our 2016 moment when the people you like the least win government and all you little bastards, whether you're in West Australia, Melbourne, Canberra, all start crying your little fucking eyes out, because that day's coming. And guess what, Guido? That journey started on Saturday, and One Nation all of a sudden will have 3 senators in the upper house in South Australia, and just on reports, they've already run 2 lower house seats, and they're in the running for 3 or 4 more. So, Peter Malinakis, good on him. He's a good operator. Congratulations for his second win. And I would be lying if I'd say he probably won't win the next time. But you watch, there'll be a lot more One Nation. The opposition in South Australia next election, it is legitimately, it now is One Nation. In the next election, by number of seats, forget the number of votes, by number of votes, it's already the opposition. Could be by the number of seats because the Liberals have polled so poorly. But by the next election, Malinakis will win again. I've got no doubt about that. But he's going to have a sizable opposition of One Nation MPs facing him. And at that moment, the whole game changes. And Albo, your mate Albo, hey, Guido, I bet you love Albo. And he got chased out of that mosque in a heartbeat, didn't he? The religion of peace chased him out with his 30 bodyguards. Hey, are you going to go protect him, are you, mate? That guy's such a clown, and you vote for him. So it's kind of funny. I don't need to scream. I just give you a good belly laugh. Come on more, but Guido, come on live. Come on to my podcast live. Put your face to it. Let's see what you like, buddy. Let's see how good your history is. You say you know your history. Let's find out. I know mine. So I've had others on here. Everyone's welcome on my podcast. Unlike a lot of you ALP bastards, you won't contemplate getting on with somebody from another persuasion, a political ideology or persuasion. So Guido, go back to your, what was it? Your grandparents immigrated here. Hopefully they're still happy and healthy. Wish them all the best. Good luck to them. And anybody who comes into this country with the right reasons, whether they're leaning left or right, they're welcome here. So, mate, I wouldn't wish the worst on anyone from Perth. And I certainly wouldn't slam them. But your Perth government, your ALP government, are a bunch of dickheads. And the LNP are worse. So right now you got left, and fuck all else. You really don't have much else to vote for. So it would be interesting their next election, but they're in all sorts of trouble. But West Australia's lucky. Why they've got that iron ore under the ground, why you still got Gina, you'll be fine. We don't have that there. So anyway, that was entertaining. I told you, I'm getting all these trolls. Let's see what Gino won't come on because none of them ever do. They're too gutless. They take pot shots from afar, but they won't ever put their face to their name, to their ex account and whatever. So Guido's giving me a bit of fun, bit of entertainment. So anyway, that's enough for me. Our preferential system sucks. Guido sucks. Good on you, Guido. At least you got on here. Hopefully your weather is as beautiful as ours here in Melbourne today. And all I want is the best for that flag. And I tell you, no ALP politician can say this. They don't even want to show that flag. They hide our flag. I want the best for that flag, this country, its heritage, its history, and your kids and grandkids. So God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. See, even he's looking with a strange eye. Who's this Guido fella? It's not entertaining. But screw our preferential system. I'll see you all tomorrow. God bless you all. And stay safe. And try and find a petrol Bowser that can fill up your car a little bit.